Hello everybody and welcome to Xucaboa, 100% Vanilla Baby, where I'm trying to make the least vanilla 100% vanilla city you've ever seen in your entire life. Let's load up our last save, and as always I'd like to say thank you, gracias, obrigado, merci, and grazie to new Xucaboa citizens: George Lopez Enza, Sean War, Aaron Dushinsky, Dominus, Gare Jackson, Stephen Krabs, Bon B, Fina Fox, Gladys Me, Adair Fuller, Thorny Little Flower, Zoe Parrish, Keith Casey, ATCQ, CW UK, Snapdragon Cities, Erica J, Eggsy, Dynav, Conscript David, Overcharge Egg, What's the Real Deal, Valentina Esteban, Brian Jacquin, Emperor, Sacco Spuds, Kevin Troyes, Lupin 980, Dimitri Zagozin, and Tor Code. On the honor roll today we have Larry Skylines, Jake Jemsen, Joy Build Cities, and Dean Webb. Ay caramba, this channel is growing fast, including some big names in the citizens list. We've now reached over 400 people joining the city as we hit the 1-year anniversary. The 100% Vanilla Baby City is a project-based city, so let's look at our projects from last episode. By carefully using the landscaping tool, we created an artificial harbor at the foot of some serious seaside cliffs. Using assets like the climate station, medical helo depot, tax office, and many different waterfront items, we created the look of a Coast Guard and climate research area that has plenty of aids to navigation for boats and ships to use. On the cliffs, high-density residential was placed facing outward on the smoothly placed roads, and above the cliffs we built a new high-density neighborhood with an empty space for a park. The park will feature a waterfall that drops down the cliffs to the sea. We also included a Slava Ukraini refugee shelter as a simple symbol of hope for all people in the world who are forced to flee their homes because of war and other tragic events. It means very little in my imaginary world here, but symbols can be meaningful and I wanted to include them. Alright, time to work on the park. Firstly, I had placed a firehouse and said that the first person to write FD for me in the comments will get a name for them, so Gaming Bren is the winner. Nice work, Bren. Let's expand the park district borders and place down some small city park gates. We'll just connect them up with some paths, and then we can begin adding assets. If you don't know yet, every person who subscribes and comments on any Xucaboa video will get something named for them in the 100% Vanilla Baby City. First will be the Jorchi L Carousel. Then the Aaron D Chess Plaza. Don't worry, I won't name any restrooms for anyone, I'm not a jerk. Here we'll put the Stephen Crafts Gazebo. Followed by the Glad It's Not Me Gazebo. Over here we'll put the Zoe P climbing frame. The Snapdragon Cities Cafe. And finally, the Dynav Cafe. Now for our first honor roll honoree, Larry Skylines, whoever the hell he is. Larry recently made the workshop asset Xucaboa Gotta Go Park. Watch this quick clip from his latest video all about it and see what you think.
You gotta go to Xucaboa's Gotta Go Park.
What the hell is Xucaboa?
At Xucaboa's Gotta Go Park, we have flamingos and fun, toys for the kids in the souvenir shop, and when you gotta go, you don't have to go far. Xucaboa's Gotta Go Park. You gotta go now. From Larry Skyline.
Who the hell is Larry?
Now available on the workshop.
Who the hell is Larry?
Thank you, Larry, for that outrageously great asset. And for that, we'll name this the Larry Skylines Gotta Go Park. I imagine being this close to a magnificent waterfall will make plenty of people gotta go. I've included a link to Larry's video and workshop page in the description, so you gotta go check it out. Okay, so our park has a pretty high entertainment level, and we just need to let people arrive to level it up. I'll detail off camera while it levels up and be right back. Hey, I'm back. That was fast. You can see that, as I love to do, I've detailed the space with lots of vegetation, brushes, trees, and props. I think it's very appropriate that Mr. Mason Falls has lots of natural detailing assets in place. So we've got over 10,000 visitors so far, but we need just a bit more entertainment to get that 5th star. So I think we can add another asset here by this pond. And we'll go with this little overlook deck. We'll call it the What's the Real Deal overlook. There we go. 5-star park now. And with that, we've essentially filled all of Île Cachalot, our large island on the east side of the map. But there are a few things that we need to fix. Take a look at this video clip from our second honor roll member, Jake Jemsey.
Grading is very important when it comes to transportation engineering. There are a lot of rules and guidelines to follow, but essentially, highways and local roads have different set of rules. In America, highways typically don't exceed grades of 7%, not even in mountainous terrain. The main reason for this is due to semi-trailers having issues with their brakes burning out on long downhill stretches. These areas even have runaway ramps for semis in case their brakes fail. I'm not sure what the guidelines are for the rest of the world though. This example is probably okay, since it is all uphill and for a very short distance.
So Jake is a rookie engineer and reviewed one of my save game files, which are available for free to everyone in the Steam Workshop. In his video, he reviewed some of the engineering projects and graded them. I thought it was pretty awesome, so I'll try to go around and address a few of the things that Jake noticed as best I can. Without using the Network Multi-Tool mod, I can't determine the actual incline angle of this highway, but hopefully that helped a little bit. I'll go around and just make some little changes to the bridges. I don't want to spoil too much of Jake's episode, aside from the fact he forgot to disable fire spreading. So just watch as I take care of some of the issues he pointed out. This span, for example, was a bit too long between the abutments, so we'll see if we can just extend the terrain a tiny bit more and have that fix the problem. Not a huge difference, but I think maybe it's a little bit better. This here was a good catch. The Metro Bridge truss didn't line up with the pillar underneath on the one side, so let's redo that. Here, I would ideally like to have a pillar very close to the canal or in the center, but the actual canal structure prevents that from happening. A builder named Zostos has figured out a way to hack the vanilla node mechanics to override that, but I'm not ready to mess around with that just yet. As for the archway that wraps around Balcón, this was a proof of concept build and not really intended to be realistic or practical so much, so I won't modify that. But over here, Jake did notice that the speed limit would be very high for vehicles cruising around this curve and would probably result in them driving right off the road. So we can change those highway segments to industrial road, which blend in pretty well, and that will reduce the speed of vehicles as they drive around the bend. Yeah, that seems to be working fine. The highway has a speed of 100 kilometers an hour, and the industrial road only 40 kilometers an hour. So it is a pretty quick drop, but it looks smooth enough and doesn't seem to be causing any traffic, so we'll keep it. In recognition of Jake Jemson's excellent review of my city's infrastructural engineering, we'll name this highway that loops around the Ile Cachalot the Jake Jemson Highway Loop. Thank you, Jake. A reminder to everyone that every single Xucaboa citizen, on a roll or not, who has a YouTube channel is listed in the main page's featured channels section. If you're looking for new builders to check out, we've got over 70 right now, so there's plenty to explore. Now it's time to begin expanding our city even further. Before we do that, take a look at how traffic is beginning to accumulate at the junctions of the Maddox Teardrop Interchange, Ségolène Boulevard, and Albert Green Avenue. I think we'll remove the Albert Green Avenue connection, and think about a new interchange elsewhere. I had laid down this gravel path many months ago as a potential arterial connection towards Isla Isaura, so let's take a look at that. This should be a good connection point, so let's create an improved vanilla PARCLO interchange here to connect to the Grottles Expressway. We'll extend the terrain out towards the highway in a way that isn't NSFW at all, and then use parallel guideline roads 10 units away from the highway. A single pillar might have fit in there, but the double pillar over the curved highway is a bit tricky, so we'll just have to work the one highway around it. With the bridge and highway in place, we'll extend a tram avenue towards Balcon. This corner looks like it'll be good for one of my favorite 120-degree triangle interchanges. We'll just have to be sure and delete this segment here and straighten it out a little bit. There we go, that's close enough for me. And let's replace that with some commercial. See what we get. Alright, now back to the interchange. Get this other section of avenue put in. And we'll begin to make our on and off ramps first. Always using gravel roads as guidelines for spacing. Then we'll create a second off-ramp that goes past that junction. This should be spaced out enough to prevent vehicles from making left turns off the ramps. The only left turn should be from vehicles exiting the bridge to get onto the highway, which is as good as we can get with a PARCLO. We'll do the same on the other side. Alright, there we go. Now let's talk about our third honor roll member, Joy Builds Cities. Joy has been making a really cute 15-minute city of Mortalago, and in it she gave many different creators special jobs, including the title of City Historian to me, Xucaboa.
All right, we're back at the offices. We are going to check in with our city historian, Xucaboa. Let's follow him around today and see what he's up to around town.
For that distinct honor, I'd like to dedicate this new bridge as the Joy Builds Cities Tram Bridge. Thank you again for that honor, and now I'm going to detail off camera and be back in literally 2 seconds. Ay caramba, I said literally 2 seconds and I meant it. So, like I'm known to do, I added some trees and vegetation all around this interchange. I installed fencing as safety rails for traffic, and I threw in a big rock for good measure as well. But I went beyond the interchange and added some date palms to the Grottles Expressway, and I finished the detailing of the Maddox Teardrop Interchange and the Gaming Bren Expressway Trumpet. I know it's not connected 100% yet, but you can already see that vehicles are using the correct ramps to leave the expressway and get onto the avenue. If you've been watching this series since the beginning, you'll remember my first PARCLO at the City Skylines Vanilla Facebook group bridge. This was a smaller version without the second ramp, which was fine for a low-density area when we built it almost a year ago. But it is starting to feel some of the stress of traffic, so we'll probably have to add extra connections or redesign the ramps in the future. For now, it's still okay. Alright, time for some neighborhood layout. I'm going to add some layers of terrain here, because I'm always of the opinion that having various layers is a great form of detailing and making your city really look cool. Let's run Albert Green Avenue around this new area as a sort of collector road, and then we'll draw in some local streets with a lot of dead ends as traffic calming mechanisms. I won't say cul-de-sac, after a translation snafu that happened in the City Skylines Vanilla Facebook group with Abhinav Shah's post. Ay caramba, that was pretty funny, and I guess quite literal, because if you translate it word for word, it doesn't mean dead end. Okay, let's start naming things for even more new Xucaboa citizens. Remember, just subscribe or write a comment and you get a building. It's as easy as that. I am still a small channel, so get in on the action while I'm still able to do it. First, let's put the Bon Bon B B-Ball Court, which you might call the 5B1C. See what I did there? Alright, now let's put an overlook right here and call it the Nemperor Overlook. The Lupin 980 Gazebo. The Sean W. Police Station. Here's the Jerry J. Elementary. The Fina Fox Public Pool. The Thorny Little Flower Climbing Frame. The CWUK Cafe. Here is the Eggsy Warehouse for commercial zones goods. The Overcharged Egg Fountain of Life and Death, next to the medical laboratory there. The Brian J. Taxi Depot. The Kevin T. Shelter. The Tour Code Skate Park for Rad Skaters. And the Enza Post Office. There we go. We'll paint this section of the area with a district brush and make it self-sustaining residential. Now I'm going to spend several hours doing zoning selection and detailing, but for you, I'll be back in just another 2 seconds. Alright party people, I am back after about 8 hours of off-camera zoning and detailing work. Without any mods, I have to patiently wait for buildings to level up and hope that the right model appears, or delete it and start over. If that sounds brutal to you, I'll just say that I never have any death waves because of this, and it's a great way for me to ensure that my city functions well after many game years passing before I expand any further. So let's take a look at this public housing project that was built after I received some comments asking for something like this. By using the Green Cities Residential, these larger 2x3 level 1 buildings double up nicely for a good repeated look. And I put some even taller 4x3s on the ends. There are some commercial and office assets on the avenue underneath as we swing over by the medical lab and life and death fountain, which I think complement each other quite nicely here. Much of this neighborhood is mid-rise residential that looks more affordable than what you'd find in the Balcón district, but there are still community gardens scattered throughout. Take a look at the zoning layout here. I even added some small industrial parcels on the avenue by the warehouse and the highway, but it's mostly residential with some commercial scattered around. Now looking at our traffic, we can see that we're in the mid 80% region, so let's consider extending a metro line from the Hoodie Ninja 247 Metro Plaza over to this new area. The terrain is approximately the same height, so we won't have to worry too much about underground engineering to get smooth slopes with our tunnels. And so we'll put a simple underground metro station here and call it the Domi Metro. Now, let's connect the tracks and then run the green line over to it, extending from Fish Market District all the way through Balcón. We will put 2 Green Line train stops in the Metro Plaza. And with 4 trains, we have it timed just about right that 1 train will be at each of the 4 different stops at the same time. Nice synchronized metro timing. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's just add some light detailing over here before we move on. I don't want to forget that. And now I want to continue expanding my industries a bit since our demand has returned. And what I think I'll do is use the existing Xucaboa beach palms forestry and bring it over to this area near the Valley Lad Triple Trumpet. The forestry industry that we have is really just some palm plantations mixed into our Jungle Beach area, so we aren't yet producing any paper or planed timber from the raw wood. These can't be imported either, so we're really missing out on an opportunity here. First thing we'll do for this project is create a simple ramp under the overpass and into the field. As always, I'll clear out any trees and vegetation first because I absolutely must be mindful of reaching the game limits. With just a single ramp, I don't want too much industrial traffic to come this way, so I'll put down the really big forestry maintenance building. I think by placing it with the platform facing the tracks, it looks really cool. Kind of like cargo trains might stop here, even though only passenger lines run on these tracks. I think it still looks better this way. Now over in this clearing, I'm going to put an on-ramp and an off-ramp that join to a single road. Now I'll place down the forestry barracks, the engineered wood plant, the sawmill, a warehouse yard, and a log yard. Let's paint a district over these spots so we can add the forestry industrial specialization to it, and we'll call it the lumber yard. Let's name these assets. The Adair Fuller Forestry Barracks, the Keith Casey ATCQ Engineered Wood Plant, the Erica J Sawmill, the Dimitri Z Timber Yard, the Valentin E Log Yard, and the Sacco Spuds Maintenance Building. I'll fix that typo a little bit later, Spuds, don't worry. And we need one more, so let's put the Conscript David Firewatch here. We'll run the simulation to get our storage yards balanced, which generates some extra traffic right after activating them. And I realized that the forestry vehicles can only head south on the Scroggins Highway, so we'll create a turnaround lane just past the rail bridges. This way, they can head back north towards the Triple Trumpet system and drive in any direction they want. I think it looks like everything is working as intended, so I'll do my final time fade to the future while I detail off camera for the last time jump this episode. Alright, back to the future. With the yards balanced, traffic is pretty light over here. Just a few trucks at a time coming into this street. You can see the forestry industrial one-bys spawned small stacks of planed timber that make a lot of sense in this area. Over by the large maintenance building, I chose 3 different forestry industry buildings that I thought complemented it nicely. And I admit that I got carried away and went back to our first tile area and decided to go through each building again to get the model that I really wanted. Also, I added some density to part of the Shukinya Center, but the old low-density houses here had all leveled up all the way to that very cartoony, futuristic Jetsons look, and I hadn't ever gone back to curate them for what I really wanted. So now I think it's all blended together way better than it was. Before I forget, let's name the Concord Heights default main district as Concord Heights Public Housing, and we'll paint a district around it and name that Concord. Now let's talk about our 4th and final honor roll member for today, Dean Webb. Mr. Dean has created a 5-part challenge using my save game file from the last Cliffside Harbor episode and encouraged anyone who is interested to build an observatory up in Opie Mountain. Take a look at this clip from Mr. Dean.
Specifically, I want to see what this place looks like when we add an observatory. Why an observatory? Well, why not? Seriously, I like the mountain in here, and I thought that the way that these ridges are set up will block the light pollution from the city. That is to say, the pollution from all the street lights and building lights and traffic lights that will make the sky brighter and therefore more difficult to see stars.
It looks like Dean had a lot of fun figuring out how to build in this really challenging terrain, and I know that Saka Spuds has also done it as well on his channel. Really love to see people exploring the city and putting their own twist on it, So instead of doing my own version of your Observatory challenge right now, I'm going to leave the Observatory up here in case anyone else wants to take this save game file from the workshop and give it a try. Just remember, you need all the gameplay DLCs, European building style enabled, and for the love of everything good in this world, disable fire spreading, or all of the trees will burn to the ground. While I was watching Sack of Spuds do Dean's challenge in his videos, he had said something really nice that I appreciated so much. Spud said that while looking around my city, every angle was like a screenshot. And I appreciate that more than you can imagine because I really do spend hours upon hours trying to do just that. It's not always possible to get the most realistic city without using mods, but it is absolutely possible to make a really beautiful scene unique to your style in every corner of your map, no matter how you play. It's not necessary to do this, of course, but I think it adds a huge feeling of accomplishment when you look at an area from near, far, up, down, and sideways to see that it's like a work of art. I don't know if I'd call this fine art per se, but I do believe it is an authentic expression of my creativity, and I know that every one of you who plays this game puts a lot of heart and soul into your projects. We often struggle trying to make things the way we want, so when it comes out just right, ay caramba, it's a great feeling. Flying around the city, using first-person camera, doing overhead shots to see the map layout, all of this is just the cherry on top of the cake that is City Skylines. I've said it before that with a fairly basic understanding of game mechanics and road hierarchy, you can make a completely free-form doodle city and have it still come out working completely fine and looking totally unique. And if you're looking for a specific style to emulate, remember that there are dozens upon dozens of content creators already here in this channel's featured section, as well as all around the internet. It can be hard to find new cities when YouTube search recommends the same handful of builders over and over, so please go give a look to some of these smaller channels that make incredible stuff. Join groups on Facebook, Discord, Reddit, Paradox forums, wherever. Just share your cities, check out other people's cities, and keep making this game have one of the coolest global communities you'll ever find anywhere. As I said in the beginning, Xucaboa channel is now over 400 subscribers, which is a monumental increase, and as I've done for 100, 200, and 300, you can expect to see a 400 plus subscriber special episode coming soon, with screenshots of every single one of your custom buildings. If you ever want more screenshots of your building, or anything else that I can do, I guess, just leave a comment and let me know. We'll make it happen somehow. I'm also really happy to have reached the 1 year anniversary of this 100% vanilla baby city, and maybe I'll do a special live stream for it sometime soon, or something else. If anyone has any ideas, let me know. If you're new to this channel, introduce yourself in the comments. The people that you'll find there are always super cool, and all of us will do our best to make sure you feel welcome here in Xucaboa, the city named for Xuca the cat, who lives in Lisboa, Portugal. Seriously, everyone here is consistently awesome. I couldn't be happier with the group of people that always turn up for these videos. I think I'll end my speech here, but I'll continue to fly around the city just a little bit more to take a look at all of those screenshot angles I try to put into every place in the city. Thank you everyone for watching Xucaboa 100% Vanilla Baby, and I'll see you next time.